Hey, it's Cynthia with realliferevised.com, and we are on day 8. Can you believe it? We've been moving through these days. And I know some of you feel like you've been a little bit overwhelmed with all of the material that I've sent out. And so today I've made an effort to make the video a little shorter. And this particular subject is an important one, but I want you to stay with me. It's a very short video, and it's important that we think about these things. So today is day 8, and we are picking up the letter E. We continue on our efforts of picking up the letters from our Scrabble game. We're thinking of the prophetic picture that the Lord gave me as I was walking. I tripped, and these Scrabble board, as I was carrying this game, flew into the air and all the pieces fell down on the ground. And as I reached down to pick up the letters, we're beginning to start out the words "start fresh," because this program, this challenge, is about those who want to take a step forward in their relationship with the Lord, whether you've been stalled out, whether you've been hurt, whether you've been angry. All the different things that we've looked at are all blockages as to why we're not moving forward in our relationship with the Lord. So today, our letter we're picking up, it's the 8th day. We're spelt out start already, and we've done F and R, and today is E. So today we're going to be talking about emotional wounds. We're going to talk about the myths about emotional wounds. The myth says, the first myth that we hear all the time is that time heals all wounds. But that does not always hold significance if you don't make the time to face them. See, you may store away emotional fragments of the past and only to have them reappear at a later stage. So time does not always heal the wounds. Time heals the wounds if you take the time to face them, then you can move forward. If you don't, they will pop up at the wrong time. Another myth is that your instincts may tell you that you can't survive if you experience the feelings, so you push them down. But I can tell you that if you push them down, they're still going to come out, and they're going to come out at an inopportune time. You are going to feel the feelings. At some point, any walls that you erect around yourself that actually separate you from other people are really going to come crumbling down. So any feelings or leftover child instincts that you have to protect yourself, you're now an adult. And, you know, when you're a child, you kind of freeze your feelings and you feel yourself frozen. Or I use the analogy is that I built these walls around myself, and then I couldn't get out of the cage, or the safety measures that I put around myself actually kept me walled away from other people. So you need to know that the instinct to freeze your feelings or build a wall around yourself as a child were a way of coping, but now that you're an adult, those instincts, you're more capable of learning and coping and overwhelming with your emotions now than you were with a child, and than you were as a child. And it's safe to come out of hiding, or to let yourself be unthawed, or let the walls come down. And I do want to tell you, if you don't, they will come down, and it won't always be at your leisure. Very quickly, I want to run over 5 things that are important that we think about when we're talking about emotional pain. And this is not a deep teaching tonight, because I know that we went rather deep in all the other areas. First thing I want to talk about is honoring your pain. Avoidance of pain increases it. To heal, you must pass through the doorway of grief. Emotional wounds are beyond sadness. They're felt in the depths of your being. And you need to honor your pain and don't run from it. You need to unplug, put aside some time to reflect, and give yourself permission to grieve. If well-meaning people push you to get over it, ignore them. Time and patience are the key to recovery. Surround yourself with friends who understand that. You need to honor and look at your pain. If you don't, you'll push it down and it will come out later. Secondly, reach out. Being alone is part of the healing, but long periods of isolation are unhealthy. Deep pain always brings out personal demons, and I mean figuratively and reality, such as blaming yourself, embracing victimhood, or bitterness. It's a dangerous place to isolate yourself. It really is, because the enemy looks for the weak, and he looks for those who have been separated from the pack. Such choices breed entrapment, and they don't really bring freedom. You need to reach out to friends. You need to find support groups, whether that be a 12-step group or a comfort in some sort of a prayer group or a Bible study, or find yourself a Christian counselor or a pastor, and always I am available for that kind of ministry. Number 3, take a break. Take a break. It's important that you take a break from your pain every once in a while. Engage in healthy compartmentalization. Now, that doesn't mean that you ignore it. There's a difference between ignoring your pain and taking a break from your pain. I know that when I run into problems, how I problem solve a lot of times is stop thinking about the problem and do something else. For me, that's usually reading, because I'll read because it'll take my mind off what I'm thinking. And then when I come back to it, I know how to solve the problem. Get a little drink of water here. It's important that you engage in some sort of break taking. Now, everybody does that in a different way. For me, I do it in reading. Some people write. Some people listen to music. Some people enjoy art. Some people go to the movies. Other people find it moving around, like dancing or hiking or long walks. Here we live in the beautiful Gulf Coast, going to the beach, listening to the water, lots of different things, going downtown and pretending to be a tourist or joining in with different groups. Take a break from your pain. Choose a task that allows you to escape by stepping into another reality, such as I said, reading or going to the beach or going with friends. It gives you time to rest. And even if it's only for a little while, you can't fill your life up with escaping and taking breaks. You still have to deal with your pain, but make sure you give yourself a break. Your pain will be waiting for you when you get back, but you'll be better fortified and rested and ready to face it. The next thing we need to do is we need to learn from our pain. Now, what do I mean from that? The Bible talks about that struggles work out character in our life, and I've heard it said that the road to wisdom is paved with suffering. That's true. I've heard that said. I'm not necessarily know if that's what God would say, that we have to have suffering to be wise, but I do know that after we've suffered, we are become more merciful and more empathetic towards other people. But it's very important that we reflect and explore and ponder without self-attacking ourselves, self-blame, because it opens us up to a greater understanding and compassion for ourselves and for others. An attitude of learning will keep us unearth the value of the experience. You may also discover that a curious new freedom, that recovering from an emotional trauma or heartbreak makes you stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Also, the last thing that's important that I want to point out is that it's important that you move on. Some people allow suffering to define them, to shape them, and to ultimately rob them of their living. It becomes their identity. So many years ago, I had a friend at my home church who always had a particular problem, year after day, month after month, year after year. And it became so uncomfortable for those around us, because we would offer advice and she'd say, no, that doesn't work. Or you'd say, have you done this? Oh yeah, we've done that. And you'd say this, and oh no, that didn't work. And there was no words of comfort that you could give to her that would comfort her. There was no resolution ever to be found, year after year after year. And what happens in those particular cases is she had made friends with her suffering and accepted it as part of her identity. And unfortunately, once people are as loving and merciful as people are and want to stand with you in your pain, but if you're still in the same pain that you were in 6 years ago, people you need to move on, because people will begin to avoid you. Which brings me to a great segue. I have 6 questions that are good questions to ask yourself to know whether you're honoring your emotions or whether you're wallowing in them. So here's the first one. Your thoughts often drift toward the same story or loss or injustice or betrayal, and each time you're left unhappier. Number 2. You can feel mildly peevish or gloomy, and then you brood until your feelings intensify into fury or depression. Have you ever done that? I know I have. Number 3, the agony feels perversely comfortable, like like a pair of well-worn jeans. Excuse me. There, I hope I turned off the microphone so you didn't have to hear me coughing. So, just like I said, people make, like your jeans, they make friends with their pain, and it becomes their identity. Don't make your emotional pain and your hurts your identity. Number, see, 1, 2, 3. Number 4, your loved ones glaze over when you talk about your problems. That's when you know you've been revisiting the same problem too much. When your friends and your loved ones' eyes begin to glaze over. And the 5th one's kind of funny, but it's really true. It's when you even begin to bore yourself. You know you're wallowing too much in your pain. And the last one is, as I just kind of alluded to in my little story about talking about moving on, when you find that people that you've told your story to are beginning to avoid you, then you need to realize that you are wallowing, you are not moving on. And as I've said, I've left this light today. I do want to say to you just a couple of things, that God does not want you to wallow in your pain. He doesn't want you to be in pain. He came to heal the brokenhearted, that He loves you, and that He has a way for you to come out and remember the past without pain. I want to encourage you to reach out to someone until you can find the lessons, the fruit of your affliction, not be wallowing in the pain. So that's all I have for today. There's another video that I'm posting. I made this intentionally short. These are the points that I made about not honoring and wallowing. The 6 points that I made. Sorry about that. I missed my PowerPoint. So the last one is, pain is like water. It finds its way to push through any seal. There's no way to stop it. And sometimes you have to let yourself sink inside of it before you can learn how to swim to the surface. And I love this quote. It's really like that. You have to allow your emotional pain to envelop you before you can learn to swim to the surface. And that is the difference between honoring it. It's a choice that you make to look at it, to embrace it, to learn from it, to heal, rather than just wallowing in it. So the conclusion again is that you take some time, take a break from your pain, but always go back to it until you can move on. Make sure you get to a place where you remember the pain or remember the past without pain. And that if you need help to do that, get it. Do what you need to do so that you can move on, so you're not wallowing in your emotional pain. And, and I'm teaching all of these things because the Father has sent me to you, because He wants you to know that He loves you, and that His heart is towards you, and His hands are towards you, and that He wants you to move into a deeper relationship with Him, because He loves you and He has great plans for your life, and He has put such awesome giftings in you, and He needs them in His kingdom. He needs them for others who have walked the same road that you have walked. So I leave you with that today. And I ask that you also watch a couple of other little videos that I put on for today that will help you with healing. And so I bless you today, and I will see you tomorrow on day 9, when we will look at the letter S.